भृङ्गीच्छानटनोत्कटः करिमदग्राही स्फुरन्माधवाह्लादो नादयुतो महासितवपुः पञ्चेषु चादृत सत्पक्षः सुमनो वनेषु स पुनः साक्षान्मदीये मनो राजीवे भ्रमराधिपो विहरताम् श्रीशैलवासी विभो अङ्कोलं निजबीजसन्ततिरयस्कान्तोपलं सूचिका साध्वी नैजविभुं लताक्षितिरुहं सिन्धुः सरिद्वल्लभं प्राप्नोतीह यथा तथा पशुपतेः पादारविन्दद्वयम् चेतो वृत्तिरुपेत्य तिष्ठति सदा सा भक्तिरित्युच्यते आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरणबाणगणैरमोघैः निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम् कञ्चित्कालमुमा महेश भवतः पादारविन्दार्चनैः कञ्चिद्ध्यानसमाधिभिश्च नतिभिः कञ्चित्कथाकर्णनैः कञ्चिदवेक्षणैश्च नुतिभिः कञ्चिद्दशामीदृशीम् यः प्राप्नोति मुदा त्वदर्पितमना जीवन् स मुक्तः खलु आद्या विद्या हृद्गता निर्गतासीत् विद्या हृद्या हृद्गता त्वत्प्रसादात् सेवे नित्यं श्रीकरं त्वत्पदाब्जं भावे मुक्तेर्भाजनं राजमौले दूरीकृतानि दुरितानि दुरक्षराणि दौर्भाग्यदुःखदुरहङ्कृतिदुर्वचांसि सारं त्वदीयचरितं नितरां पिबन्तं गौरीशमामिह समुद्धरसत्कटाक्षैः सोमकलाधरमौलौ कोमलघनकन्धरे महामहसि स्वामिनि गिरिजानाथे मामकहृदयं निरन्तरं रमताम् सारसना ते नयने तावेव करौ स एव कृतकृत्यः या ये यौ यो भर्गं वदति क्षेते सदार्चत स्मरति अतिमृदुलौ मम चरणौ अतिकठिनं ते मनो भवानीश इति विचिकित्सां सन्त्यज शिव कथमासीद्गिरौ तथा वेशः सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सरलपदयुतां साधुवृत्तां सुवर्णां सद्भिः संस्तूयमानां सरसगुणयुतां लक्षितां लक्षणाढ्याम् उद्यद्भूषा विशेषामुपगतविनयां द्योतमानार्थरेखां कल्याणीं देवगौरी प्रिय मम कविता कन्यकां त्वं गृहाण भृङ्गी Namaskaram. Namaskaram everyone. Am I audible? Is the audio okay? Thank you. Thank you on Zoom. Kumarji has given the confirmation. How is it on YouTube? Are the audio levels okay, guys? Namaskaram. Okay. I see there is some chat revenue already going on YouTube. Thank you so much. I don't know who paid that 240 rupees, but thank you. You can take memberships though. You'll get downloadable resources and stuff. Paying on chat is, of course, helps us with revenue, but you won't get anything in return. So, Atulji, Namaskaram. Deepanshuji, welcome back. I see some of the members commenting in the YouTube chat box. If you go to the community tab on YouTube, you will be able to find the Zoom link. We have a Zoom session happening simultaneously. You will find the Zoom link and the passcode in both Patreon and YouTube community tab. So members on YouTube, you can come there. Other people, subscribers, welcome. Shreyaji, Namaskaram. Vishwaji, Namaskaram. So you can interact with me on YouTube chat. If you come to the Zoom session, we'll have the possibility and the homework of chanting some of the shlokas. If you wish to do that, you can do that. But otherwise, it's not a necessity. But you can come here. Priority, of course, I'll try to give to the people who have come on Zoom. All right, let's get started. What is the time? 5 minutes. It's been past 8. Namaskaram. Welcome everyone once again to the second and the final. I think this could be the final. Maybe we can have a couple of more sessions depending on if there are any questions and the demand for Shivananda Lahari. I have taken Shivananda Lahari this season because this being Kartika Masam and there being many requests for Shivananda Lahari, and we have already done Saundarya Lahari in quite some detail on the channel already. So Shivananda Lahari was, of course, the natural next step. So all the 100 shlokas of Shivananda Lahari have now been done. Last week when I did the first live stream, I myself had only gone through like 50 or 60 shlokas. But now with this week, I've read through all the shlokas. I've had some time to spend with them and appreciate them and relish them. And in this live stream, that's what we are going to do. We are going to appreciate the next 50 shlokas of Shivananda Lahari. We'll do a quick recap of what we did. We only, as I said before, we are approaching them by the chandas or the poetic meters in which they have been composed. So there are 10 of them, and the first 50 we saw were just in Shardula Vikriditam and then Shikharini. And the next 10, I thought 10, I'm sorry guys, it was 11. There are 11 chandas which are being used. There is Shraddhara. Only one shloka in Shraddhara, I missed that. 88th. So once I came to 88th, I found, okay, this is something new. And there have been some corrections for Shardula Vikriditam, the definition of Shardula Vikriditam. At one place, there was a typo. At one place, I did a hrasva for a dirgha. But those have been corrected. And all these slides, which might be of some interest and use to you, I'll be posting in the PDFs section of both the Google Drive link shared with YouTube community members and the Patreon posts. So if you are in those specific tiers, whichever, you will be able to open those posts or on community tab in YouTube and Patreon and find these slides. And also the PDF version, which you can take a printout of, or you can put it on your digital devices to read, of all the 100 shlokas and their translations in all the 3 scripts. This is the first time we have done Telugu, Malayalam and Devanagari simultaneously. I hope you found that useful. I did something similar for Kalika Ashtakam in Bangla for Kali Puja last time. And going forward, I hope to do this for different regions of the country, the region-specific Sanskrit works in their script first. So there is Shiksha Patri of Swaminarayan Sampradaya in Gujarat. That is completely in Sanskrit, but I'll do that in Gujarati script and in Devanagari. And so that is how we are going to approach it. And yes, doing a quick recap. As I said, the title did not change. I'm sorry. You can see that I have added one more Shraddhara at the end. There are 11 poetic meters. The 11th one, which I missed last time, being Shraddhara. And this slide gives a quick overview of what chandas is used, what that chandas name means roughly. Of course, words can be interpreted to mean multiple things in Sanskrit language, but roughly they are depictive of this. Shikharini meaning a peak, Shardula Vikridita meaning a playfulness of a tiger, and so on. Druta Vilambitam is one very fun, interesting meter. We'll come to that. So it's slow and fast and slow. Druta is quickly, and Vilambita is dragged out, long. So it's quick and dragged out alternatively. It's a very fun meter to play with. So that has been depicted as the play of the sun and the moon being quicker cycles and sun being the smaller, more dragged out cycles. Or it could be the other way around also, but let me not go too deep into that. So these are the 11 poetic meters, and the third line depicts which shlokas are in which poetic meter. We see only one shloka in Vamshastam, which is what? Let me maximize this. One in Vamshastam and one in Shraddhara. We'll look at it one by one. And if you have any questions, people on Zoom, you can, if there are any urgent questions, you can stop me midway. Or we'll go through the later, more off-topic questions later on once the stream ends. All right. Every chant starts with Om Namah Shivaya, bowing down to the goddess first, and then Namah Shivaya. We looked at the sounds of the sound Om itself and the definition of Shikharini, Rasai Rudrais Chinna Yamanasa Bhalaga Shikharini. And we looked at the one example shloka from Shikharini Chandas. All of this happened in the last live stream, so I'm skipping through this. Shardula Vikriditam, it is Sa Guravaha, not Guruvaha, as there was a typo last time. And Tataha, there are two Taganas. Again, just skipping through it. Shardula Vikriditam we are done. And Vasantha Malika. This is where we stop. We stopped last time. So, shlokas 44, 87, 89, 90 and 97. There are 5 shlokas specifically composed in this poetic meter called Vasantha Malika. Now, Vasantha Malika is one very... we have seen Shardula Vikriditam and Shikharini. Vasantha Malika differs slightly in being a slightly skewed repetition. It is not a samavritta. It does not have the exact same pattern in all the 4 lines. The first and the third line have the same pattern, and the second and the fourth lines have the same pattern. So, we'll, as I said, so it does not really have, Rasai Rudrais Chinna Yamana Sabhalaga Shikharini or Shardula Vikriditam. Like, they have a specific definition that encapsulates all the rhyme in every line. The rhyme is not the same in every line, so it's harder. There are some poetic meters which have that definition, which encapsulates that skew. But this one does not have. I tried, maybe it has in some obscure text. In the searches that I did, I could not find anything. But as it says, it has 11 and 12 letters in the first and the third and the second and the fourth lines respectively. And it is called as a Ardha Samavritam, which means a halfway equanimous, halfway equal. So half the lines are equal. Two lines have the same number of letters. One of those shlokas which have been composed in Vasantha Malika Chandas is this one. Karalagna Mriga Karindra Bhango Ghana Shardula Vikhanda Nosta Jantuhu Girisho Vishada Kritischa Cheta Kuhare Pancha Mukhosti Me Kuto Bhihi. So the main expression that is being conveyed here is Me Kutaha Bhihi. Bhihi means fear. Me is to me, for me. Naku, mujhe. Kutaha, from where? Why should I be afraid? Where would I get fear anymore? Why am I fearless now? Shankaracharya goes on to describe why he is fearless in the previous 3 lines, and draws parallels with each description between a lion and Shiva. So the same adjectives, the same descriptions apply for both a lion and a Shiva. So Kara Lagna Mrigaha. Mrigaha is a deer. D-E-E-R, deer. So Kara Lagna Mrigaha. He holds a deer in one of his hands. So Lord Shiva is symbolized as holding a deer, a dancing deer, that too, in one of his hands. There it is symbolically depictive of the mind, where a mind is chanchala, it keeps running around, strutting around all the time. It's very fickle, it's always, it's not stable and steady. It's always agitated. So he has that in his hand, symbolizing control over that unstable mind. And a lion, of course, its food being the deer, it has a deer in his hand. Karindra Bhangaha. Kari Indra is the lord. Kari is an elephant. Bhangaha is the one who kills, who slays. A lion, of course, is capable of slaying an elephant. And Lord Shiva is again said to, as an ascetic roaming around in the Himalayan snow peaks, he is said to be the one who wears elephant hide. There is one very beautiful depiction of him. We all know the Nataraja Murti. There is another one called Gaja Samhara Murti. I should have taken some image, but you could do a quick Google search and find Gaja Samhara Murti bronze idols. They are beautiful. So he wears that elephant skin. He's clad in that elephant hide to give him that warmth, of course, from the snow. So both applies to a lion and an elephant. Ghana Shardula Vikhanda Nosta Jantuhu. Ghana Shardula Vikhandanaha. He is the one who is, Shardula is a tiger. Even the biggest of tigers, Ghana Shardula Vikhandanaha. He is able to defeat it. So he's the one who is capable of slaying down even the fiercest of tigers. Applies again to both Shiva and a lion. Asta Jantuhu. He is the one into which all creatures merge into. Astamayam. There is Udaya, and the opposite of that is Astamanam. So dawn and dusk. So Asta Jantuhu is all creatures. He's at the top of the food chain, and every other creature goes into his belly. Applies to a lion and also to Shiva. So all other creatures merge back into him. So they find their dusk. All Jantus find their dusk into this. Girishaha. Giri Shete iti Girishaha, the one who rests in a mountain. Applies to a lion and Shiva. Vishadakriti. Vishada is huge, enlarged. Akriti is a form. Applies to Shiva, who is all pervasive. And of course to a lion who has a huge form. Chetaha Kuhare. Kuhara is a cave. Now, after having drawn parallels between a lion and Shiva, now he says that kind of Shiva, lion stays in a cave, but which cave does Lord Shiva stay in? He stays in the Cheta Kuhara, in the cave of my Chetas or consciousness. So in that Chetaha, Pancha Mukhaha asti. Pancha, the word apparently means that which is spread out. Pachi is the dhatu from which Pancha comes. So some interpretations call it as Panchamukha forms of Shiva, with each of them Ishana, Sadyojata, and all the other faces. But for a lion, it is the one with a fierce form, with an enlarged face, which is fierce and ferocious. Lord Shiva is in the cave of my consciousness. Then where else? What else then am I afraid of? Where else can there be fear within me anymore? So you see that the descriptions have gotten more complex also. So in the last live stream, I told you Adi Shankaracharya pulled out all stops in terms of poetic complexity when it comes to Shivananda Lahari. Saundarya Lahari was much more straightforward. There were poetic descriptions, but they were not as complicated, and there was only one poetic meta. I did mention in the last live stream that it looks as if he's trying to show off and woo Shiva. Actually, he does try to woo Shiva in many ways. He goes to such elaborate descriptions and to such extremes to say, now you come. He's literally trying to bait him into so many different things. We'll look at how these descriptions go. But you see this layered meanings, different kinds of alankara, not just shabda alankara, but artha alankara in such beautiful comparisons is also going on. We'll see how this gets even more complex going forward. But okay. Anybody wants to try this shloka out to chant this, you can do that here, guys. But there are payments happening suddenly in chat. I don't know why. Rajanji, thank you so much for the $50 and MX249. I think it's Mexican currency. I don't know. Make peace with it all. Dilip Kumarji, good morning. When are you starting the new classes? Vakshuddhi, I guess. All right. Thank you so much for all the money, but we'll continue this and try to finish this live stream. And you want to take memberships, you can do that on the channel in the join button and on Patreon. That way you'll get more perks back. Anyway, more money. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Anybody wants to try this out? This shloka, Karalagna Mruga. So this, because it is alternating 11 and 12 syllables, we can just read it out. Karalagna Mruga Karindra Bhango Ghana Shardula Vikhanda Nosta Jantuhu Girisho Vishada Kritischa Chetah Kuhare Pancha Mukhosti Me Kuto Bhihi. I hope the meaning is clear. You guys want me to read out the English one? After the last live stream, I had some messages saying we like the narration also of English in your voice. If we read it ourselves, I can't understand it clearly. Okay, so I'll read it out, even if it is here. The one who grips the deer in his hand, the one who strikes down an elephant, the one who tears asunder even a great tiger, the one into whom all other creatures merge, the one who resides on a mountain with a great white form, resides within the cave of my mind with his fivefold ferocious face. From what else then would I have any fear? From what else would then, I guess that is the better sequence of words. From what else would then I have any fear? Now I see what you meant when you said you can't get the meanings very clearly when you read them yourself. All right. Now I hope this is clear right now. Let's move on to the next shloka. This shloka is the next chandas is in a poetic meter called Pushpitagra, which means the one with a flowery tip is Pushpitagra. So a tree could be Pushpitagra, the spine could be Pushpitagra. There are many interpretations. 4 shlokas in Pushpitagra Chandas. This one has a particular rhythm to it. Should we go into this? Let's have a quick show of hands. How many of you want to go through Pushpitagra Chandas in more detail? Okay, 1. All right. I need some alignment with this. Let me quickly align the slide. Is this better now? Yes. All right. The half of that definition was getting cut out. So this Pushpitagra again is an Ardha Samavritta, which means the first and the third lines are similar, and the second and the fourth lines that have the similar pattern of syllables. Now, how it is defined is Ayuji Nayuga Rephato Yakaro Yujitu Najau Jaragascha Pushpitagra. So UG and IUG literally mean in the even and odd set of lines. The first and the third line, odd lines, and in the second and the fourth lines, even lines, how the pattern is. Na yuga rephato yakaro and yujitu najau jaragascha pushpitagra. So it has 12 and 13 aksharas in the odd and even lines respectively. We'll take an example, it will be clear. Ati mrudulav mama charanau ati kathinam te mano bhavanisha iti vichikitsam santyaja shiva kathamasid girau tatha veshah. Interesting. So, here Adi Shankaracharya is exclaiming, this is poetry, so I'm just seeing how I can explain this without taking away the beauty of it. He's wondering. He's not even wondering. This is a kind of sarcasm, a kind of poking Shiva into saying, oh, why would you not come into my mind now? So he's almost being, this is being coy. Shankaracharya is being coy in this shloka. I hope everybody gets what coy means. But Ati mrudulav mama charanav. He starts by saying, oh, my feet are very tender. Ati, extremely tender. Ati mrudulav mama charanav. My feet are extremely tender. Ati kathinam te manah. And his mind is so hard, so tough. Ati kathinam, extremely tough. Bhavanisha, O Lord, who is the consort of goddess Bhavani. Iti, thus thinking, O Lord. How thinking? Oh, my feet are so tender and his mind is so tough. Iti vichikitsam santyaja. Tyaja is let go. Please relinquish this kind of thought. He's saying, don't you think like this. Don't you think that your feet are too tender and my mind is too tough. For you to put your feet on my mind and come walk on this terrain. I'm a tough nut, of course. But don't you delay coming and entering my mind, thinking that your feet are too tender for this tough mind of mine. Because if it were so, O Shiva, katham asid, how did it happen? Did what happen? Girau tatha vesha. How did you, vesha is pravesha, upavesha, visha dhatu is to enter. Girau is upon the mountain. If it were really so that your feet are so tough, how could you have entered and roamed around the Mount Kailasha, which is extremely even tougher? So my mind is not definitely as tough as that mountain. So don't you dare think like this. So this is the kind of poetry that's going on. I hope all of you guys, I did not do a narrated meaning version this time due to the lack of time. But I hope you guys are reading through the translations and enjoying these. One more time, let me read this out. Ati mrudulav mama charanau, ati kathinam te mano bhavanisha, iti vichikitsam santyaja, Shiva kathamasid girau tatha veshaha. Is the meaning clear? Did I do a decent job of not taking away the beauty of this poetry while explaining poem? He's being coy with Shiva. Shankaracharya is saying, don't you dare think that your feet are too tender and my mind is too tough. In his own words, in Shiva's words, he's saying, oh, my feet are too tender and his mind is too tough, so I can't go enter his mind. If it were really so that you have to think like this, how could you have roamed around the mountain, that tough mountain of Kailasha? The meaning of this is here, my feet are extremely tender and his mind is extremely tough. O consort of goddess Bhavani, Leave aside such doubts. If it were so, how could you have entered that tough Mount Kailasha? Let's breeze through the shlokas and then come back to chanting them or discussing them further. The next one is in Vasanta Tilaka. It's extremely popular chandas. Na 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 na. So from all Suprabhatams usually are in Vasanta Tilaka, and this is one of the most popular shloka to start something with. If there is something, an onset of something pleasant, something breezy, something happy is going on, you want the mood to lighten up and light up, Vasanta Tilaka is the meter of choice. And this is a beautiful, nice, same pattern, 14 lines in each, 14 syllables in each line, kind of a poetic meter. Ukta Vasanta Tilaka tabhaja jagaugaha na 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 na. Should we bring the Ektara? I don't think. Let's do it at the end if we still have time, because we have a lot to cover. So this pattern, you will see that it repeats in every line. So even if you don't want to do the same tune as I do, you can read it out with the same rhythm like this. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhava chapa yuktai shivasmarana bana ganai ramoghai nirjitya kilbisha ripun vijayi sudhindraha sananda mavahati susthira raja lakshmim na 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 na. Same rhythm in every line. You could do a little bit of a melody saying as Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhava chapa yuktai shivasmarana bana ganaira moghai nirjitya kilbisha ripun vijayi sudhindraha sanandamavahati susthira raja lakshmim. The idea being conveyed here, the main verb is avahati. Sa anandam avahati. Along with a lot of bliss, one begets, one invites into oneself. What does one invite? Susthira Raja Lakshmi. Raja is rulership, and Lakshmi, Raja Lakshmi is the wealth of rulership, of dominion, of command, on control over. Control which is stable. Susthira Raja Lakshmi. That kind of the wealth of command, wealth of dominion, which is stable. What kind of Susthira Raja Lakshmi is that, and who is begetting it, and how is somebody begetting that, is all described in the previous 3 shlokas. Now, this wealth of dominion, wealth of rulership, is one begets by waging a war. Let us first look at what is the weapon which is being used in that war. It is it's basically bow and arrows. Bows and arrows and a bowstring are being used to wage this war. Now, what is that bow similar to? What is that bowstring a comparison to? And what are the arrows? What do the arrows depict? That is being described in the previous 3 lines. The first one is Arudha Bhakti Guna. Guna is this is the bowstring. Guna literally means a thread or a rope also. Arudha is that which has been taught. Ekku pettadam antar Telugulo. So Arudha is to, there are many interpretations. To climb is also Arudha, but to put on top of, to string is Arudha. So by stringing a bowstring. What is that bowstring? Bhakti. That bowstring which is being tied, which is being used as the weapon finally in this war, is devotion. And then what is the bow itself? That bow is kunchita bhava. Kunchita is that which is bent. Bhava is a bent feeling, that by bowing down, by limiting, by lessening one's own sense of self and ego. By lessening one's own self, kunchita bhava, and by stringing that kunchita bhava, which is the bow, staff, with bhakti, which is the bowstring, Shivasmarana bana ganai, with the gana of banas, with a group of arrows, Amoghai, which are brilliant, which are fantastic, which are great, and which never miss their target. Amogha, they don't miss, and they're never faulty. Straight arrows. What arrows are they? Shiva Smarana Bana. So once identity is lessened, one is not too egotistic. That is now enabled by this bowstring, which is devotion. And now the weapon, the arrows which shoot out of that devotion are the contemplations of Shiva. So you see how beautifully each function of each of these internal actions that we perform, how do they correlate with the more abstract aspects of the more how the parallel is drawn in a war. How do you employ things? If you have to understand how these very subtle processes of bhakti and dhyana, japa, how they function, it is japa and smarana which is the thing that actually gets the job done, which goes and hits it and which is what does the function. But how should it be? It can't be just random yapping away of the name. It has to be employed, it has to be pushed forth, propelled forward by devotion. So it is the bhakti which is the bowstring. Now, what kind of a bowstring is that? Is that bowstring, is that bhakti because you want to get something, you are in some desire, and that is what supports that bowstring, that bhakti? No, it is because one thinks of oneself as lesser, and one's own identity is diminished. Now he has that humility, and from that humility is what supports that devotion, which then propels forward the smarana and the dhyana of Shiva, and that goes ahead and hits its target and defeats, nirjitya. It wins over. What does it win over? Kilbisha Ripun. Ripu, who is an enemy. Kilbisha is one's sins. And there are many definitions of what kilbisha is in many scriptures, but an overarching term is all of one's faults, all of one's addictions, afflictions, all sorts of unpleasantness within. All of that is now struck down by the Shiva Smarana Bana. By doing that, one defeats all these enemies of Kilbisha and becomes victorious, Vijayi. Who becomes victorious? Sudhindra. Sudhi, the buddhi, the pious mind, with this waging this kind of a war, becoming victorious, begets, along with bliss, sa anandam, along with a lot of bliss, gains control now, has control. What can the mind have control over? All the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas within. So this beautiful, very abstract internal process of gaining control over one's senses is drawn a beautiful parallel to with an outside war that is waged, so that outside war we understand what is an instrument, how does that instrument function, what is employing what is going and hitting what. Now each of that processes, each of those implements is drawn a parallel to with the internal process. By stringing one's devotion as the bowstring, bending down one's own interiority as the bow staff, with contemplation upon Lord Shiva as unfaltering arrows, defeating the enemies of one's sins, Lord Indra, which is my intellect, Sudhi Indra, being victorious, Nirjitya, Vijayi, enjoys the wealth of rulership, Susthira Rajalakshmi, the stable rule of stable control over one's own faculties and one's own subjects, which are one's own sense organs, in great bliss, Sa Anandam. This is one example from Vasanta Tilaka Chandas. The next one is Shalini, which has two shlokas, 74 and 91. One more very beautiful, simple, same pattern chandas, which has a chandas which has the same syllables, same rhyming pattern in each line, same rhythmic pattern in each line. The definition is Shalin Yukta Mtau Tagau Gobdhi Lokaihi. How does it go? let me look at the shloka so that Asha Pasha Klesha Durvasanadi Nana 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 Nana. If I look at the shloka, it's easier for me before looking at the definition. Let me read out the shloka once. Asha Pasha Klesha Durvasanadi Bhedodyuktair Divya Gandhairamandaihi Asha Shatikasya Padaravindam Chetaf Petim Vasitam Me Tanotu. Should I diverge into a different... Tanotu brings this beautiful shloka into mind. Let me not go into that shloka from Saundarya Lahari. Tanotu is may it envelop me, may it wrap me, or may it wrap, literally, not envelope, spread, wrap around, spread, is Tanotu. The shloka from Saundarya Lahari is Tanotu Kshemam Naha. It's a beautiful shloka. You should go listen to it if you have time. But what should be spread around here is a fragrance. The fragrance of what? The fragrance of a lotus. Aravinda. Aravindasya that the Vasitam the Chetaf Peti. So what is being spread around? The box of my consciousness. Box, room, a compartment. Chetaf Peti is this room of my this compartment of my consciousness, my mind, is filled with stench, he says. Durvasana. Durvasana is foul smell. Suvasana is good smell, fragrance. Why is my mind already is filled with foul smell? That foul smell is from Asha, Pasha, Klesha, Adi Durvasana. The desires, the attachments, the different kinds of afflictions. Klesha, once again, like Kilbisha, has multiple definitions. There are Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. Patanjali Yoga Sutras defines different kinds of Klesha. But all of these kachra in the mind has created a lot of stench. Asha, Pasha, Klesha, Durvasanadi, etc. Now, those kinds of foul smells, this should Bheda Udyuktaihi, Divya Gandhaihi, Amandaihi. Whenever words end with that aihi, it is an indication that it is with something in the Bahuvachana Rupa. It's getting harder and harder to keep it not complex. I try to make it simpler without grammar, but so using something, with the help of something, these foul smells are going away. Using what? Divya Gandhaihi. With the divine fragrances. Divya is divine, Gandha is fragrance. Bheda Udyuktaihi. Or Udyukta is something which is intent upon, which is now ready to. So with the help of divine fragrances, which are ready to take away the foul stench of asha, of desire, attachment, and different kinds of afflictions of the mind, within the box, within the compartment of my mind, the Pada Aravindam, the lotus, which is the feet. The lotus, which is the feet of whom? Asha Shatikasya. Shatika. This Shatika is where this sari also comes from. So Shatika is a garment, the clothing. The one who has this kind of a clothing, Shatikasya, is of the one who has this clothing. What kind of clothing? Asha Shatikasya. Asha is also another word for the directions themselves. So Lord Shiva is Digambara, is in a human form. He is not even clothed. What does he have? Not just does he, the only thing he has are bhasma and kapala, they say, but not even that. He's just nothing. So his directions are his clothes can be interpreted to mean that he is bare and unclothed, or his boundaries, the boundary of his body is nowhere to be found. It spreads to infinity in all directions. So there are one of them is looking at the abstract nature of what Shiva is, which is infinite, all-pervading nature in all directions, or a bhikshu who doesn't even have clothes. So his feet, which are like lotuses, their divine fragrance, chetaf petim vasitam me tanotu. May they reside and they spread their fragrance, which are intent upon removing the stench of all the other afflictions and desires and all the other kachra in my mind. Asha, pasha, klesha, durvasanadi bih. So can't take a pause here. That's why the hyphen. Asha, pasha, klesha, durvasanadi bhedodyuktair divya gandhair amandaihi. Asha shati kasya padara vindam chetaf petim vasitam me tanotu. Clear? Should I read this out? That which removes the stench of bondage to desire and other worldly sufferings, with its intense divine fragrances, that lotus, which is the feet of the Lord, who has only the directions as his clothes, may that reside within the closed compartment of my mind. Only one shloka, the next one. This is a fun shloka. Nana 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 nana. So the first half has a lot of short syllables. So it progresses quickly. Druta is quick. The next half has 3 long syllables. So nana 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 na nana na nana. You see, initially it's quick. Nana 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 na nana na nana. So because the longer gurus are towards the end, they get more towards the end. It gets longer. It gets slower towards the end. So even the definition of it is Druta vilambita maha nabhau bharau. Initially it is Druta vilambita maha nabhau bharau. So as you get towards the end, you see it's getting longer and kind heavier. The shloka, the only shloka in Druta vilambita chandas is Sadupachara vidhishvanu bodhitam savinayam suhridam samupashritam mama samudhara buddhimimam prabho varagunena navodha vadhumiva. Nana 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 nana. Beautiful, equanimous, same rhythm in each line. A melodious form of this would be Sadupachara vidhishvanu bodhitam savinayam suhridam samupashritam mama samudhara buddhimimam prabho varagunena navodha vadhumiva. A small digression, can't help, don't want to miss out on it. This is one of the most frequently employed poetic meters in Narayaniyam, which is the entire Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, abridged into 1000 shlokas by Narayana Bhattadri. We had indeed covered all the 1000 shlokas, which are spread into 100 chapters of 10 shlokas each. Do check out that playlist. It's a beautiful one. And this chandas makes many appearances in that work. In this shloka, the key idea is samudhara. Uttadhara. Ut is the prefix which means up. Udaya, utpitika, uttara, all of that. The ut is up. Uddhara is take up, is hold and take for oneself or uplift. In this context, it is take her up. What, take who up? Take the buddhi, take up my buddhi, uplift my buddhi. Samudhara buddhim imam. Imam is this buddhi of mine, uplift it, take her up. This buddhi, which is a Strilinga padam, is being compared to a new bride. Nava odha vadhu. Vadhu is a newly wed bride. Iva is like. So you see slight wooing is happening. Adi Shankaracharya is giving his mind as a bride to Shiva. So this is a very beautiful comparison. This comparison keeps occurring again and again, where he's not thinking much of his mind. Later on we'll see he wants his mind, his buddhi, which is not exactly mind again. This is the typical uh, heart versus head fight. In he says, and in all of these shlokas, you will see Adi Shankaracharya putting down the head and following the heart more. He says here, he says, this mind of mine, this intellect of mine, this head space of mine, which is like a bride, take her up. Later he says, oh, head, just sink into the heart and dissolve into it. So we'll see how it is being, made softer, made more malleable and more gentle again and again, because this is what can be sharp and wants to cut and penetrate everything. This always wants to dissolve and is all inclusive. So he's trying to put this down. So he's here comparing one's intellect, buddhi, to a newly wed bride. And in the last two lines, he says, Mama buddhim imam, this intellect of mine, Prabho, O Lord, Nava Odha Vadhumiva, like a newly wed bride, Samudhara, uplift her or take her up. How is this bride? Vara Gunena Odha Vadhumiva. She is the one who is filled, the one encompassed, who is equipped, who is embedded with Vara Guna, with great qualities, beautiful attributes. Vara is the best. Vara Guna is the best of qualities. What are those best of qualities of that bride, which is my intellect? Sadupachara vidhishu anubodhita. She is, this intellect of mind is anubodhita. She is well versed. Bodhita is the one who knows. Bodha also comes from the same buddhi, which means who knows. She knows. What does this intellect of mine know? The vidhi, the processes, the etiquettes, or the kind of acharana of what? Sadupachara. Of upachara is how to be in service to somebody, how to attend to something. Sadupachara are those, being attending to somebody. Taking care of someone is sadupachara, being in service to someone. So my intellect, this intellect of mine, is quite attentive and is capable of being an attendant to somebody. So that is one of the varagunas, the best of qualities. How else is it? Sa vinayam. She is humble, and she is another quality is humility. Now that she knows and knows how to be capable of being in one's service, this intellect of mine is not all pompous. It is savinayam. It is still humble and filled with humility. Suhridam samupashritam. And at the same time, humble but not distraught and unpleasant within. It is pleasant. Suhridam. It's always pleasant. And samupashritam is the one who knows how to take refuge and be in somebody else's refuge. So this kind of an intellect, which is tempered to be gentle and soft and bowed down, and despite being quite capable and well versed in all the etiquettes and all the knowledge of the world, which is still humble and pleasant and knows how to seek refuge and be pleasant and tender. This intellect of mine, which has now been which is now like this, tempered like this, take her up, uplift her like a newlywed bride. Now, who is the groom? Of course, Shiva. So he's almost trying to fix a marriage for Shiva with his own intellect and mind. And this is I have not seen any composition like this. Of course, Narayaniyam Rasa Krida is still the most beautiful, but here this is cute. This is the effort itself of Adi Shankara, that he's putting so much, he's pulling all stops, he's just wooing Shankara in every way possible, that take up my mind as a bride, oh, you are the one who's like a lion, oh, your feet are as fragrant as lotus petals, and my mind is the one which is tough, so come live on it. So you see the kind of descriptions that go on towards as we progress through the shlokas. So yeah, this is one beautiful shloka, which is in a very beautiful poetic meter as well. Let us go to the, let me not read it out, guys. What time is it? We have 100 shlokas to cover. We are at 85. I think we can do it. The next poetic meter, which has shlokas 83, 84 and 85 composed in that, is Malini. Na na ma ya ya yuteyam Malini bhogi lokaihi. We'll see how the rhythm of it goes. Shiva tava paricharya sannidhanaya gaurya bhava mama gunadhuryam buddhi. I'm sorry. Bhava mama gunadhuryam buddhi kanyam pradasye sakala bhuvana bandho sachidananda sindho sadaya hridaya gehe sarvada samvasatvam. Once again, Adi Shankaracharya says Buddhi Kanya. So he said this newly-wed bride, which is my intellect, take her up. Now he says this Buddhi, my intellect, is my daughter, Buddhi Kanya. I shall give her to you. Pradasye is I shall give. Dasya. Dasya is not that dasa is slave, but it is to give is dasya. Pradasye. I shall give the daughter, my daughter, which is my intellect, to whom? To you, Shiva, and Gaurya, to you and Gauri, Paricharya Sannidhanaya. I'll employ my daughter, who is my intellect, in service of you and Goddess Gauri. How is that intellect of mine? Gunadhuryam, the one who is filled with all different gunas. O Sakala Bhuvana Bandho. Bandhu is a relative, the one who is a relation to. Who is he a relative to? To all the worlds. Sakala Bhuvana, all worlds. And he is also addressing Lord Shiva as Sindho, an ocean. What is he an ocean of? Satchit Ananda Sindho. He is an ocean of the bliss, the joy, Ananda of consciousness, Satchit. So I shall employ and give the Pradasye, the daughter of my intellect, in service of you and Goddess Gauri. In return, what does he ask? Sadaya, he calls him. O one who is filled with compassion. Hridaya Gehe. In the house, Geha is a house of Hridaya, my heart. In the house of my heart, Sarvada Samvasatvam. Samvasa is you come reside. He is now asking Shiva and Gauri to come live forever, Sarvada, in his own house. So in Telugu it is called Illarikam. I don't know what it's Ghar Jamai, I think in Hindi. He wants Lord Shiva to be a Ghar Jamai Damad, to be a Illarikam Alludu of sorts in the house. I'll give you the house. I'll give you a house. I'll give you a bride who is my daughter. Come live in my heart forever. So I hope you get the meaning of this shloka. And I'm enjoying this, but I don't know what's going on in chat. I don't have much feedback. But anyways, let's take up discussions and questions later on when I finish this. Let me read out the shloka one more time. Shiva tava paricharya sannidhanaya gaurya bhava mama gunadhuryam buddhi kanyam pradasye sakala bhuvana bandho sachidananda sindho sadaya hridaya gehe sarvada samvasa tvam. Tvam is you, samvasa always reside, sarvada always, hridaya gehe in the house of my heart. Clear? Let's move on to the next shloka. I guess this meanings you can still read after this kind of explanation. The next set of shlokas, only one shloka, is in Vamshastha Chandas. Vamshastha, Vamshi and Vamsha means a bamboo staff. Vamsha is lineage because how continuous these nodules of bamboo are, and they keep growing. So that which extends is Vamsha. So that which extends is also one's clan and lineage. So that is also a Vamsha, one's lineage. A bamboo is also a Vamsha. Vamshastha is that which is the inside, which is inside the bamboo, which is emptiness. So it's a beautiful allegory to the nothingness within and all that. But the poetic meter here goes like this. Vadanti Vamshasthavilam Jatau Jarau. Very simple pattern. Nanana nana nanana nanana. The example shloka is Yada Kritambho Nidhi Setu Bandhana Karasthaladha Krita Parvatadhipaha. We need to be careful about the th and the dha sounds. Karasthaladha Krita Parvatadhipaha. Bhavani te langhita padma sambhavaha tada shivarchas tava bhavana kshamaha. So here once again he's being coy and slightly making this time fun of himself and Shiva and everybody else in the process. Adi Shankaracharya, he says, Shiva acharya stava bhavana kshamaha. Kshamaha is capability. Kshama is skill and capability. Capability of what? Shiva, Archa, Stava and Bhavana. In order to worship and praise and contemplate upon, do meditation upon Shiva, one becomes capable of, or I become capable of, when Krita Ambho Nidhi Setu Bandhanaha. When I become as capable to build a bridge across ocean. Ambho Nidhi is an ocean. Ambhas is water, Nidhi is the one, a huge treasure. So a huge treasure of water is an ocean. Ambho Nidhi. Setu is a bridge. Bandhana is to create. When I create Krita Ambho Nidhi across an ocean, Setu, a bridge, then I become capable of worshipping Shiva, because that is what happened in the past. When Lord Rama, before he started building the bridge across the ocean, performed Shiva's Archa. So Adi Shankaracharya is saying, oh, maybe I also need to be that capable in order to gain kshama or capability to worship you. Or Karasthaladha Krita Parvatadhipaha. Or Adhaha is below, Karasthala is the palm of my hand. Krita Parvatadhipaha. Parvatadhipaha is the lord of mountains, which is Vindhya. And this, maybe I should be as capable of pushing down great mountains with the palms of my hand. With just the palm of my hand, if I can push down a mountain, maybe I need to be that capable to do your stava or your praise. And this has been done by sage Agastya. The word Agastya itself means that. Agastya is the one who pushed down a mountain. There is this beautiful story of how Agastya came down and pushed down that mountain, Mount Vindhya, all that. But he was the one who is famous for Shiva's praise and eulogy. And he did that when he was pushing that down. So maybe I need to be that capable. I need to be that capable that I can push down mountains with the palms of my hands. And then I'll become capable of your worship. Or Bhavani, or maybe I must be Langhita Padma Sambhavaha. I must be the one who is born out of Padma. Padma Sambhava is the one who is born from a lotus, which is Brahma. Langhita is the one who pierces through and one who crosses, jumps across. There are more stories like this. But this is descriptive of Brahma, who again performed Lord Shiva's worship when he wanted to do contemplation. This story again is in Narayaniyam, that as soon as Brahma was born, he started meditating upon Lord Shiva. Anyway, so maybe I should be as capable that I can build a bridge across the ocean like Lord Rama, or I should be able to push down mountains like Agastya, or I should be able to pierce through lotuses or be born from a lotus like Brahma to be able to gain capability of worshipping you. All of these again have correlations with the physiology, that maybe I should be that capable in doing and in following the process of yoga. All of these correspond to yogic practices and how one's kundalini rises. I will not go into all that right now, but just at a story level, this is so beautiful that Shankaracharya is once again being coy, that such great people, those are the ones who are actually capable of worshipping you. How can I now perform this task? These three tasks of archa, stava and bhavana, of worshipping, praising and meditating upon you, when the people who are actually capable of doing that are Lord Rama, Agastya and Brahma themselves. I hope this is clear. I will come to more questions. I see there are questions coming up. This was an example of Vamshastam. The next example, there are a few shlokas of Shivananda Lahari which are just sung, and they are not in any particular chandas, or even if they are not the same rhythmic meter in every line. One of them, which is very beautiful, is like this: Jadata Pashuta Kalankita Kutilacharatvam cha nasti mai deva asti yadi rajamaule bhavadabharanasya nasmi kim patram. So much coyness. I did not think of the word coy, but I have to use it so many times in this explanation because that is what comes as the closest expression to how he is being here. Adi Shankaracharya is saying, Nasti mai, they are not there in me. Deva, O Lord. What are not there in me? Those four qualities: Jadata, Pashuta, Kalankita and Kutilacharatvam. What do they mean? Kutilacharatvam is crooked walk, crooked gait. Chara is to move. Kutila is, the Kautilya is from Kutila. A crooked mind is Kautilya, the one with a crooked mind. Kutilacharatvam is the one which moves crookedly. Even here I did read some interpretations. All of these four apply to the four ornaments of Shiva, or only one ornament, which is the crescent moon. Those four ornaments are the tiger skin, the deer which he has in his hands, the crescent moon and the snake around his neck. These four are the ornaments. So each of those have these faults, these doshas, these faults. The snake can't walk straight. It's always crooked in its gait. Kutilacharatvam. The tiger skin that he's wearing, or the animal hide, elephant or tiger that he's wearing, is inert. That is another of his ornaments. That is dead. Jadatva. Pashuta, the other abharana or an ornament that he has, is a deer. It is an animal. It's not even some gold or diamonds or jewelry. It's animalistic. Kalankita is, kalanka is a blemish or a spot, dark spot. The moon that he wears on his crown is not pure. It is spotted. It is besmirched. It has dag. So he says, Adi Shankaracharya says, I don't have any of these faults. I'm not inert. I'm quite active. I'm not as animalistic. I'm very evolved. I don't have any dag, or I don't have all these sins and faults within me. I don't have any kalanka. And I am of a straight nature. I'm not crooked in my approach. Kutila charatvam. None of these I have. So he's accusing, he's poking, he's finding faults with the ornaments that Lord Shiva is wearing. And next line he says, even if I have such traits, asti yadi, they are not there, nasti, mai nasti, in me I don't have those faults. But if I have them, O Raja Mauli, O one who has the crescent moon on his crown, Bhavadabharanasya nasmi kim patram. Won't I, even if I have such faults, wouldn't I then be capable, wouldn't I then be worthy of being one of your ornaments? Because all your ornaments are anyways faulty. So I don't have any faults, but even if I do, won't I then become capable of being your ornament? Such beautiful, beautiful poetic imagery. And one more interpretation goes Jadata, Pashuta, Kalankita, and Kutila Charatvam, inertness, animalistic tendencies, blemishes, and crooked gait all apply to Chandra himself, the moon itself, in many stories of the Puranas. But these are interpretations. We could go along with the one which covers all of his ornaments, because all of them anyway have some or the other fault. So yeah, you get the meaning, right? He says, oh, the moon on your head has blemishes, it's faulty. The snake around your neck is crooked, faulty. The skin that you wear, dead, faulty. Or the deer that you hold, animalistic, waste. I don't have any of those, so I must be much more worthy than them. But even if I do have those faults, won't I then deserve to be at least your ornament? All right. There is one more I picked up in the same, in a similar fashion, which is Giti, which is just sung, which is Sa rasana te nayane taveva karau sa eva kritakrityah ya ye yo ya ye yau yo bhargam vadati kshete sadarchata smarati. So let's just go at it from the top to the end. Sa rasana. Rasana is a tongue. That is in fact a tongue. What will come later. That what of every of these is what is addressed by ya, ye, yav, yo, which is that, those, they and he. That is what ya, ye, yav, yo means. That, they, those and he. That sa rasana, that is the tongue. Te nayane, those are the eyes. Taveva karav, those two are hands. And sa eva kritakrityah, that one, he is the one who is fulfilled. Which tongue, which eyes, which hands, and which human being? Vadati, ikshete, sada archatah, and smarati. So these four things, though in respectively, those which do, those are in fact the tongue, those eyes, and those hands, and that human being who are indeed fulfilled. Kramalankara, is that a thing? Kramalankara? I was not aware of this. Interesting. Thank you for letting me know. Very interesting. But yes, respectively, in that order, Sarasana, that is in fact the tongue which speaks, Vadati, about Lord Shiva. Te Nayane, those two are the eyes which Ikshete, which behold Lord Shiva. Tau Eva Karau, those two are the only are hands which Sada Archataha, always worship Lord Shiva. And Sa Eva Kritakrityaha, that one, he is the one who is fulfilled. Who Smarati, who always remembers and contemplates upon Lord Shiva, upon the glory of Lord Shiva. Bhargam is that resplendence and glory. Bhargam vadati, bhargam ikshete, bhargam sada archataha, bhargam smarati. So you can. So this is like what is that exercise that we had in childhood? We had just words vertically, and using arrows we could finish sentences by connecting those words. So you can, I can't actually draw on screen right now, but using all the words we can form like 4 different sentences with the words on the screen by connecting those lines. Ya rasana bhargam vadati sa rasana. That tongue which talks about the glory of Lord Shiva, that is in fact a tongue. And ye nayane bhargam ikshete te nayane. Those eyes which glance upon, which behold that brilliance of Lord Shiva, they are in fact the eyes. Yau karau sada archatah, bhargam sada archatah tau karau. Those two hands which always worship the glory of Lord Shiva, those are in fact the hands. And yaha in poetic meter becomes yaha bhargam sada smarati sa eva kritakrityah. That one is truly fulfilled. Oh, you see it now. Wonderful. Nice. Yes, it is beautiful, isn't it? So the first time you see, what is this weird set of words that have been put together in such cluttered form, but such beautiful sequencing of words. We'll come to that example later, Kumarji. So, sa rasana te nayane taveva karau sa eva kritakrityah ya ye yau yo bhargam vadati kshete sadarchatah smarati. This is why I said it looks like there is a lot of possibility of further research into Shivananda Lahari, because there might be much more than what is apparent still hidden. I mean, we can see these multiple layers of meaning, but like Saundarya Lahari, there could be other deeper layers of meaning and interpretation hidden into why this sound ya was used and why 4 of them were used in that particular sequence, ya, ye, yav, yo. There is definitely a possibility to delve deeper, contemplate upon this, meditate upon this, and find those meanings and interpretations for oneself. The 98th shloka, I think this is the final. So once we finish this Shraddhara, we can take the questions and go to participant chants. Mrabhnair yanam trayena trimuni yati yuta Shraddhara kirtiteyam. Na 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 na. Mrabhnair yanam trayena trimuni yati yuta Shraddhara kirtiteyam. Again, Shraddhara is one beautiful, beautiful poetic meter which is quite extensively employed in Narayaniyam. But in Shivananda Lahari, there is only one shloka which is in Shraddhara, and that also comes at the very, very end, almost like before the invocatory and ending shlokas. In the last shloka, he anyway says, "What else is there for me to say? I'm going to stop now." That's how he stops. Everybody knows you're great, so enough said already, he says. So before that, in the more beautiful poetic forms, Shraddhara is the kind of the final poetic meter which is employed. Now that I have it right here, let me also do this. We have not done this yet. You see how the rhythm is na 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 na. So 21 syllables in each line. The 4 long syllables in the beginning. Too fast? Can you follow along those lines? I mean, when I put it up as a video later on YouTube, I can add those animations moving real time, but now you'll have to just see and correlate these sounds with those long and short lines. Na 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 na. Mrabhnairyanam trayena trimuni yati yuta Shraddhara kirtiteyam. Shraddhara literally means the one who holds. Dhara, a srak or a rudrakshamala, japamala. So Shraddhara, one of the only shloka in Shraddhara is Sarvalankara yuktam sarala padayutam sadhu vrittam suvarnam Sadbhis samstuyamanam sarasa gunayutam lakshitam lakshanadhyam udyadbhusha vishesha mupagata vinayam द्योतमानार्थरेखां द्योतमानार्थरेखां कल्याणीं देव गौरीप्रिय मम कविताकन्यकां त्वं गृहाण. Here he is just finally saying this. He was saying my intellect is the bride, is my daughter, take her. Now he is saying this entire composition that I have done so far, this is also my daughter. This is my offspring. This is my output. This is my daughter. Kavita Kanyaka, he says. This poetic daughter of mine. Tvam Grihana. You take her hand. Grihana is take her in marriage. Kavita Kanyakam Tvam Grihana. How is that Kavita Kanyaka, the daughter, which is this poetic composition? She is filled with multiple characteristics. These adjectives are apt for both a lyrical piece of work and also to a bride to be. Sarva Alankara Yuktam. She is the one who is yukta, who is adorned with, who is decorated with Sarva Alankara, all kinds of alankaras, all kinds of decorations or makeup or ornaments. At the same time, Alankara can mean physical ornaments and decorations, and also the alankaras of lyrics and lyrical, the Shabda Alankaras, the Artha Alankaras, the different kinds of, the comparisons, the similes, the alliterations that he was using, he was employing. And he just did not use one or two Shabdalankaras or Arthalankaras. He pulled all stops. He used all possible poetic instruments anybody could ever come up with and cook up in their heads in all these 100 shlokas. So literally, Sarva Alankara Yuktam. She is the one who is decked with all kinds of ornaments. Both this poetic work and the bride who is to be. Sarala Padayutam. She is the one who has gentle gait. She is the one who takes very tender, gentle steps. She is not one who is very masculine and rough. She is gentle. Sarala Padayutam. Sarala Pada can also mean gait and walk. Pada also means the words. This is a poetic composition which has gentle, tender words in its usage. So Sarala Padayutam, the one with tender words, or the one with tender gait. Sadhu Vrittam, the one who is of a good. Sadhu is good or pious. Vritta, multiple interpretations of Vritta. It can be for a human being, the one who is of a beautiful shape, the one who is shapely. Or the one who has Vritta is also, all these poetic meters are also called Vrittas. Shraddhara, Shikharini, Shardula Vikriditam, Pushpitagra, Vamshastam. They are also called Vrittas. So the one who is shapely as a human being, as the Kavita Kanyaka, as the bride to be, or as the one who is shapely in the structure of the poems, in the poetic meters. Suvarnam. Varnas again. Varna represents a color, and Varna also means the syllables. The one who has Suvarna. Sadbhi samstuyamanam. The one who is praised by Sadbhihi, Sat people, Sajjanas, the good ones, the pious people. So she is the one who is praised. Her qualities are spoken about. Here also, this Sadbhi Samstuyamanam applies to both this poetic work and to a personified form, a bride to be. Sarasa Gunayutam, the one who has beautiful virtues and attributes, Guna. Lakshitam Lakshanadhyam, the one who is filled with different kinds of lakshanas, virtues and attributes and traits. Udyat Bhusha Vishesham, the one who has Udyat Bhusha Vishesh, special and extremely Vishesha, special characteristics and traits. Upagata Vinayam, the one who is easy to approach, who is easy to, who is approachable to one who approach them. Upagata vinaya, who can be known and um, who is accessible and approachable to the one who approaches them. Dyotamana artha rekham, the one who Dyota is clear or shining. Artha is, again, Artha is the meaning itself of the poetic meter, or fortune is also Artha. Rekha is lines of poetry or the lines on the hands of fortune. So Dyotamana Artha Rekham. I will not spread it and explain this poetic beauty even more. Kalyani, this one who is auspicious, this poetic work of mine, this poetic bride of mine, this poetic daughter of mine, Deva, O Lord, Gauri Priya, O Lord who is dear to Goddess Gauri, Mama, my, Kavita Kanyakam, this composition, this Kavita, this poetry, which is my daughter, Tvam Gruhana, you take her up. I'm offering this to you. I'm offering her to you. Sarvalankarayuktam saralapadayutam sadhuvrittam suvarnam sadbhis samstuyamanam sarasagunayutam lakshitam lakshanadhyam udyadbhusha visheshamupagata vinayam Dyotamanartharekham Kalyanim Deva Gauri Priya Mama Kavita Kanyakam Tvam Gruhana. So with that offering, with that dedication of this poetic meter, who is the output, the offspring of the reciter and of Shankaracharya, by offering it to Lord Shiva, this is the last poetic meter which is employed in Shivananda Lahari. There are of course two more which are again in Shardula Vikriditam and one in Shikharini, I think, but we have already covered examples from that. Now all of you have, I hope, access to the PDFs. I'm not going to make that the first to 50 I made those PDFs, the Google Drive folders, available to all in the chat box. But from 1 to 100, you can look it up in the comment, in the community post and on Patreon. The links I'll put up in all the videos later on. But for Deva Gauri Priya Mama Kavita Kanyakam Tvam Gruhana. Yes. We'll take questions and any observations now. I see there is something in chat. I'll go through Zoom chat first. Vishamavritta, exactly. There is Samavritta and there is Vishamavritta. There is Sama and Vishama also used in Ardhanarishvara Stotram. Vishamekshanaya. Anybody remembers? Namah Shivaya cha Namah Shivaya. There is some Ikshanaya, Vishamekshanaya, Namah Shivaya cha Namah Shivaya. Vishamakshanaya because he has odd number of eyes. Vishama is uneven. And Sama, the opposite of that is Sama. Yes, all the poetic meters which are uneven in their approach are Vishamavrittas. Ardha Sama, Sama and Vishamavrittas there are. And Kumarji, Krama Alankara, Chinmaya Telugu used this in his Chinnaya. Oh, Chinnaya. Used his translation of Panchatantra. Oh, interesting. Kachapa Mushikamulu Jala Bila Mula Jala Bilamana Nundi Velupaliki Vachenu. Acha. So the sequence in which, okay, we'll not explain that now for non-Telugu audience. But yes, respectively. So that respectively is not used, but it is described in that sequence and it's listed out in that sequence, and something in the same sequence is described with adjectives later on. Interesting. So yes. Uh-huh. Hannah? Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. 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 Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Yes. Huh. Uh-huh. Correct. Correct. Oh, I did not know this. How did you recall this so fast? You had learned this before? Uh-huh. Oh, uh-huh. I haven't received anything. Spam? Okay. Uh-huh. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that is why I do this, because this my blows my mind on a regular basis. So this is, yes. Yeah. True. Hmm. 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 क्या बात है? हाँ. Interesting. No, yeah, I did not get any message. You can direct message me your email ID. I'll send you an email ID. Maybe you can reply back to that on Zoom chat. Yes, yes. Potana Bhagavatam. No, this is Telugu though. As much as I love Telugu, uh, I can't put it on the Sanskrit channel. We'll have to. Huh. 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 Yeah. Huh. Huh. Yes. 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 I got it. I got it. Oh. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, let me also. So Zoom guys will anyways stay here. So we'll end the live stream on YouTube. So let me check the chat messages here on YouTube and then come back. If anybody has any urgent questions or have to go on Zoom, you can let me know and message me. Once we take care of all the patron and YouTube member questions on Zoom, maybe I can make the Zoom link public as well in the chat box. You guys can come there and we can have a direct conversation there, and we'll end the live stream because people seem to be logging off. And I'm not as concerned about YouTube analytics and reaching and numbers, but if it goes to single digit numbers, it's not a good look. So before everybody logs off, let me put the personal Zoom link invite in the chat box. But before that, let me look at any questions here. Deepanshuji, you had asked a question. Chat. Uh, please talk about Mercury. Venom, why don't you come on to Zoom and we'll talk about Parad or Mercury or how many? That's not one of the top priority questions, but I'll post the Zoom link here in a few minutes. Then we can talk about everything under the sun. I recently went through your playlist of Soundira Lahari with the one of 10 videos, individual shloka explorations, like complete word by word meanings and such. Can you also make a complete 100 shloka compilation? Yeah, that is definitely in the plan. When that could happen, when I can't give you a timeline, but yes, I would definitely love to do a similar exploration, a detailed explanation of all the 100 shlokas. The thing is, again, as much as I want to ignore YouTube analytics and cover everything to its final point, like Vishnu Sahasranamam also I've done 21 names, but did not do all the 1,000, because once I do it until the 1,000, the 40 people, the wonderful 40 people, thank you so much for staying until this point of time, will stay back. But YouTube will stop promoting it to the other few thousand people. See, now it dropped to 27. And we'll only have single digit or double digit numbers in our viewers count forever. So that I don't want that to happen. So I will cover all the shlokas in due time, but I have to keep the numbers also up and think in that terms. Yes, both Saundarya Lahari and Shivananda Lahari are extremely beautiful. I will do the Saundarya Lahari shlokas in more detail. Thank you so much, Abhayji, for your appreciation. Molly is doing the na pattern, the poetic meter pattern in YouTube chat. You can come on Zoom and then we can have practice sessions there. Time to open a big Sanskrit university. Take initiative, please. I have visited Sanskrit universities. I've written to them. I've visited some of the Sanskrit colleges. They have their syllabus to cover. They have their own guidelines and textbooks and their own exams to conduct. There is so much to present in terms of content, but can that be done in a library? I thought maybe I can create one repository or one kind of a big collective of Sanskrit creators, which in some scale it's happening, but there are Sanskrit universities. They need to improve their quality, not build one more. The ones which exist have to get better digital presence. Some of them are taking steps in that direction, but we need better quality stuff. Better quality output, not necessarily the number of universities or the scale of the universities. Bishnuji, namaskaram. I'm Bishnu from Nepal. I always feel fortunate because we met at Oh, have we? Bishnuji in Pashupatinath. Yes, I remember. Namaskaram. How are you? Yes, I had this pleasure of being in Pashupatinath temple in Nepal last month. Sir, any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma Nitya Jnana Pradayini Ananda. I don't know which lineage, but thank you so much, Ma. Prakharji, thank you so much for the Patreon. Namaskaram from Ukraine. Oh, okay. Namaskaram. You guys, okay. I don't know how the situation there is. I hope you are safe and you have internet. So, yeah. Stay safe. Ram, Namaskaram, Prakharji and Dilip Kumarji. Thank you for the membership. Deepanshji, I have addressed your question. I'll post the Zoom link soon. Dilip Kumarji, good morning. When are you starting the new classes? I'm very much interested in learning. So you can see, Dilipji, you did pay those $20. Thank you so much. But the courses, the pre-recorded videos are already there on YouTube. So if you take those memberships there, you'll be able to access all the previous batches and all the recorded course videos there. And we'll have members only live streams like this more often. You can come there and interact with me personally, ask your questions, do your, get your questions answered, do your practice and such. So thank you so much. We did get a good amount of chat revenue this time. I'm surprised with this. Thank you so much. But I would recommend that you take up memberships, guys, so that we can have more direct interactions and one-to-one questions and such. Rajan Sachdevaji, thank you so much for the $50 again. Very grateful. Wonderful. But this is unexpected. Thank you. This will be helpful for, they will use this in the budget for the travels. So there is something exciting coming up for Sanskrit across Bharat. I have started working on Shiksha Patri, which is a Gujarati text which has been compiled in Sanskrit language in Gujarati script by Swaminarayan, who is the first guru of the BAPS, the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. And I'll be presenting all the shlokas. It has 212 shlokas, Shiksha Patri. It's more of a manual of instructions. The name itself suggests that. It has some spiritual insights, but it's mostly about rules of conduct, how your approach should be towards different facets of your livelihood, mostly addressed towards those social circumstances in those times, but a lot of those are relevant for and are timeless. So I'll use that to learn Sanskrit more than as spiritual guidelines for myself, because those are quite strict, a lot of them. But yes, they're beautifully composed, and I'll use that, and we'll explore Bhagavad Gita shlokas. I'm excited to reach Dwaraka during Gita Jayanti, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So yes, I'll be doing more regular live streams as once I get onto the road. So we might not have this kind of an OBS setup, all these fancy screen and slides, etc. It might just be one-on-one questions, and but regular live streams from different places, from the outdoors, using just my mobile. So if you want more of those live streams, I'd recommend that you get to either YouTube memberships or Patreon memberships, so that we can have that connect there. All right, I think that is it for the questions. I'm now going to paste the invite link, and guys who are already on Zoom, this meeting is now going to get public. So if you have any questions directly and you want those answered first, this is the time. And people on Zoom, people on YouTube chat, this is the link to the Zoom meeting. The passcode is Shivananda, Shivananda, Shivananda. People have joined in already. Wow. Okay. But anybody else on Zoom who has a question, who wants to go with practicing these shlokas, chanting them out, or discussing these shlokas in more detail, you can do that now. And thank you so much on YouTube for joining, everybody who is here with us and who have hopefully enjoyed these 100 shlokas. Until now, I think all the 90 shlokas until 80 or 90 have been covered, and 91 to 100 will also be done soon, and there will be one more version of all the 100 shlokas done. So I hope you find them all useful, and go through them during Kartika Masam. Thank you so much once again for being with us in these 2 live streams. Come to Zoom if you want to continue the conversation in personal one-on-one sessions. Thank you so much. Namaskaram. Shubharatri.